Hey Thatcher and Carol, it's Tom Rester here with Rester Financial. How are y'all doing today? I'm just making this video just in preparation for your meeting coming up this week. I'm so excited to see you on Friday, May 4th, and so I just wanted to just give you a little video intro of what we'll be talking about so that you don't come in blind, and so that way you can already start forming questions or concerns or anything that you've seen. And so today we're just going to walk through the executive summary of kind of the things that we've worked on and some of the changes that we've made. And so we really wanted to make sure that we have your goals prioritized the right way and that whatever your needs are what we're trying to meet. Because here at Rester Financial, we succeed when you succeed, and you succeed by meeting your goals. And so we want to help you reach those. And so I hope that you received the Word document of your file, of your plan that we sent over. So I have it pulled up here on my computer, and I hope you have yours pulled up as well. And so today I just kind of want to walk through a few things before you come in. We're going to need to get your signature on our engagement letter and also on the disclaimer and the investment policy statement, just to show that you've received them and acknowledged it. And so in a little bit we'll go do that, and we're also going to go through the executive summary just to kind of show you what changes we've made and what we kind of recommend you do from here. And so I'm just going to start scrolling through the plan a little bit. So you can see our cover page, Rester Financial. You'll see the table of contents. Then our engagement letter, just really wanted to just welcome you to the firm. Here we see all of our clients as family, and we want to treat them like our own. And so your goals become our goals, and we're really trying to help you do that. And so really appreciate you for coming and working with us. I know Dr. Harness sent you over as referral, and so we just appreciate you coming and taking his word for us and just kind of coming and working with us. And so next you'll see the disclaimer. This is just the legalese in saying that we've presented this to you and that we are not legal advisors and so on and so forth. And so just please read that before you come in, and we'll need to get your signatures for that before you leave on Friday. And so next you'll see the client portfolio page with some of the basic information that we had to use in order to run the plan. Then you'll see your goals listed out in 3 categories: needs, wants, and wishes based on priority. And so that's up there, and then more assumptions of what we use, just kind of economic assumptions and then personal assumptions based on kind of what you've told us in your client intake thing. And so here we go. Now we're to the executive summary. And so just kind of the purpose of this plan is just to kind of help y'all figure out, are we on track for retirement? And so we want to make sure that you feel comfortable with the plan and that it's something that you agree on and are ready to go forward with. And so you came into this meeting with some questions, I know, and so we kind of have those highlighted here. It says one of the things is difference in your risk tolerances, with Thatcher being pretty aggressive and you, Carol, being a lot more conservative actually. And so you came in wanting to know how to kind of set a common ground on that and just establish a good family risk tolerance. And so we'll talk about that and kind of in the investments portion. Second point also kind of hits on that. You're concerned with an overly aggressive portfolio. And so once we figured out what to do for the family risk tolerance, then we kind of was able to build an investment portfolio from there. And so I know Anne is very important to both of y'all, and that taking care of her is one of your highest priorities. And so we definitely made sure that that was also one of our highest priorities, was to make sure that whatever happened, you can take care of Anne. And so we really wanted to make sure that we could get y'all on a good and stable condition while also making sure that we can take care of Anne. And so I know a lot of families will just pour everything they can into taking care of their children, but we really need y'all to be on solid foundation before that. It's kind of like if you're in an airplane and when you're going through all the safety instructions, right? Parents, please put on your mask before you put on your kids. They do that just in case something happens, and if you're trying to get your kids on before your own, then and then something happens and you end up passing out, then you can't help your kids or yourself. And so it's the same thing with finances. We want to make sure that y'all are taken care of, and you put your mask on first, so that by you being on a stable foundation, you can then take care of your children, put the mask on them. And so it's the same thing with finances. And so we'll also talk about that later. And then talking about Carol's Quadro 401k and just kind of how that is used in the plan is next. And then estate planning for the new marriage. There's a whole section on estate planning, different recommendations for kind of what things to go ask an estate planning attorney about. We here as a financial planning firm are not allowed to give legal advice or be able to write documents for you, but we can give recommendations on what type of estate documents you should be pursuing and kind of some of the things to think about, like kind of who do you want your trustee to be and who do you want to kind of manage your will. And so just things like that is we can kind of talk about those. And then retiring comfortably, we've talked a lot about a little bit already. And so just that's, I know, a big concern for y'all. Y'all have a lot of goals and we really want to help y'all achieve those. And so we definitely want to make sure that that's something that we can achieve together. Is your spending reasonable given your income? And so we'll talk about that when we get to the cash management section. Again, this video is just to give you a very high level view of what we'll talk about this week when you come into your review meeting and your first presentation. And so we're trying to give you things to kind of put your mind at ease that we heard your concerns and that we've addressed them, and we'll talk about them when we meet in person. Next point of concern is about the amount of life insurance that you currently have, whether or not you should get more, or if you're fine staying put. And so that'll be used. And then the last one is how your credit card balance never seems to go down. And so we really think that paying down your credit card balance is a big goal for y'all. And I think it's something that we can easily achieve in a relatively short amount of time compared to some of the other things. And then I think that'll help a lot because credit cards have a large interest rate. And so being able to tackle that will help you in a lot of different areas. And so next, you'll just be able to see kind of a summary of goals. We breezed over the full goal section earlier, but here's just kind of nice little summary of them all. The first one is the category of needs. And so this is each of the goals that you rated from 8 to 10, just kind of your highest priority goals. We want to make sure that whatever happens, we can take care of these. And so the first one is obviously healthcare for you too, because like I said earlier, we want to make sure that y'all are taken care of. And so we threw that in there just to make sure that as you get older, that you have this specific goal to make sure that you're taken care of. And then next is also super important to y'all. It's the assets for Anne. And we want to make sure that she's taken care of, and we have that planned in. And so it should be good to go, and we'll dig into that here in a little bit. And so next is bequest to kids. And so I know you'll love your family, and you just want to be able to leave them something after y'all are gone. And so $200,000 each for each kid is also factored into the plan. And so next is just helping with Bregman's College. I know that you love the little one and that you want him to go off and achieve great things. And so that's also in here for a 4-year public undergrad degree. Okay, and then after that, so waiting for Jenna. So when that day comes, you want to have that money set aside so you can really help celebrate her moving on to the next stage in her life. And then finally, for the needs section is new cars for both Thatcher and Carol, both of you too. Now you both want a $40,000 car after trade-in. And so I saw the smiley face with the $50,000, and so that's something we can talk about later. But for now, I just budgeted in that $40,000 just to help the plan out a little bit. But when the time comes, we can definitely have that conversation of $50,000. And so next is some of your want goals. These are goals 4 to 7, and so they're moderately important to you, and we definitely want to make sure we can achieve as many of these as we can, but they're just not as important as those needs listed above. And so the first one here is travel. You wanted a $10,000 trip every year once you're both retired. You didn't have a time set for how many times you want to go on these trips, and so I kind of just had to guess. And so I think it was somewhere between 10 to 15 years after you are both retired, you'll have budgeted in a $10,000 trip for the current scenario. And so we'll again hit that later on when we get there. And so the timeshare, somewhere y'all can just go on those vacations and kind of relax and get away from the busy life that I know is Houston, and just get out of maybe get out of the heat if that's the kind of things y'all want to do. And so the next is maybe build a new cabin sometime in retirement just on the land that you have in Utopia. And so I know that's really important to you. That land is really important to you, Carol, and so we factored that in. And so next, you can see that your current scenario. I see now that we forgot to change the percentage as we were continuing to adjust plans. So your wording says 35, but then the visual says 42. And just to clarify, the 42 is the correct number. And so I'm sorry for that confusion. And that's not that. Yeah, just again, sorry about that. It's 42 is the correct number. And so next one, the recommended scenario 1. The 82 here is the correct number. Sorry again, as we adjusted, we just, I guess, didn't remember to switch them here again. And so the reason we have two scenarios is because one of the scenarios factors in using the land in utopia for assets in retirement, and then the other one doesn't. We wanted to show you kind of the differences of what would happen if you are willing to kind of part with some of the land. We only are selling half of it in the first scenario, and then in the second one, we don't sell the land at all. And so we'll just be able to kind of compare and contrast those later on in the plan when we get to the retirement section. But just wanted to give you a heads up that is in there. We did think about selling the plan just to see if that is something that could help boost your probability of success. And so we just now going to go over some of the summary of changes. And so the first one is just rebalancing the portfolio. That's something that we can do really quickly on our end once you've gone over the investment portfolio statement and we kind of get all your accounts moved to our custodian, which is Charles Schwab. And so we like them just because they're independent and we can access all the funds that we like to access there. And so this kind of goes into one of the points above, the risk management, the risk tolerance and the aggressive portfolio. And so you had a very aggressive portfolio earlier, and so now we've adjusted it so you're now closer to a 75% equity, 25% fixed income, which is kind of in the same. It's kind of in the middle of the two risk tolerances. And so what we did is we took an average of the risk tolerances, and then we kind of tilted it a little bit towards Carol. We wanted you, Carol, to really make sure, really to feel like you're secure and that you can. You're not worried about the amount of risk that your portfolio is having, and that you feel comfortable with that. And so we did that. The next one kind of addresses your concern earlier of the credit cards and the amount of spending. And so right now we do have a new cash management statement for you to look at. And so that is kind of giving you maybe a guideline of the correct amount of spending that you should be going through. We think that budgeting is super important because it's kind of the day in, day out of the planning, like the little decisions you make that help your plan go a long way. I kind of like to equate these first two items kind of to like being healthy and exercising and dieting, whereas the rebalancing of the portfolio is kind of like, and the investment side is kind of like going to the gym and working out. Like it's kind of more the glamorous, more sexy aspect of the financial planning of how can we get the biggest returns. And then the budgeting, the cash flow side is more like the dieting. It's not as fun, it's not as sexy, but it does go a long way. A lot of people say you can't out-train a bad diet, and just the same way you can't out-invest bad spending habits. And so I like to use that example because a lot of people can relate to that a little bit better than they can trying to rebalance portfolio. How much equity should we have versus fixed income, and then trying to really see the importance of what a true spending budget is like. And so one of the things we did do is we looked up ways where you could refinance your home, which this will allow you to reduce your mortgage payment. In the plan, we have it at around $2,600, which is about $400 cheaper a month than you currently have it. And that $2,600 is with an extra principal payment to help you pay it off faster so that you don't carry that mortgage into retirement as long. And so you're still saving money, and you're going to save a lot of money on your interest expense for the loan. And so we have that adjusted, and we did adjust your retirement age. I think we made it where you both retire in the same year. Earlier on the plan, you didn't, in your intake worksheet, you didn't have both of y'all retiring in the same year, but we saw that was one of your goals. If you had to retire later or in the same year, then that would be okay. And so we made it where you can both retire in the same year. And so not one spouse is working while the other is not. We really want to make sure that y'all can kind of coast off into retirement at the same time and really just enjoy yourself. Another thing we did is find less expensive care for Anne. It's still great quality care, but we were just trying to find a way to kind of help your cash flow situation where you can kind of be spending less money and maybe saving some more in some other areas. And so, with some of the money that we saved for Care for Anne, we put into the 401k, and we're using it to contribute for Bregman's college. And so, just be able to, I guess, shift around where the money is being spent is really going to help you achieve those goals. We did have to reduce or eliminate some goals. I know that for the plan where we did not sell the land in Utopia, we kind of had to cut a lot of the goals to meet your probability of success of that 80%. And so just know that that's something that we will talk about later, just kind of the details and how much and which goals. And so you're able to accomplish most of your goals at most of the sizes that you wanted when you do sell half of the land in Utopia upon retirement. And including one of those goals is being able to build the cabin on the rest of the land. And so I know that that's something you don't really want to hear, Carol, is selling the land. And so we did we did factor that in, and there are two plans, and we were showing that it is possible not to sell the land. The next one is just an increase in savings. And so I mentioned this a little bit earlier with kind of saving money in some areas, like less expensive but still great quality care for Anne, and using that to funding more of Thatcher's 401k, and then also Bregman's 529 education plan that you'll see later. And then again, the last one, we really want to just talk about the land in Utopia. We think that's a great asset that can really help your plan, and we just can discuss how to use that land going forward. And so we will go in depth in these changes just kind of as we go through the rest of this plan, but I wanted to give you just a very high level view of what to expect when you come into the office. And so I really thank you for taking the time to watch this. And so we've dug into several areas of the planning that are kind of established by the CFP board. As you can see, it includes education, risk management, investments, retirement, tax, estate, and cash flow. And so we have a section on all those things, and I can't wait to talk to you in person and really be in this relationship that I hope will be long and successful for both of us. All right, so thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you all soon. Thanks.